Hey guys, the Explorer for Horror Boy 465 here. Welcome back to some more reviews. And today I decided to do a movie review, a different spot. I decided to just do it on my bed. Over here, you guys see a little bit of my posters. I think I've done, I believe I've done reviews over here before. I think I have. Anyways, I decided to do this movie review over here because I have my computer already hooked up over here. So I didn't want to unhook it all and bring it back over there on the desk. I think I did a couple reviews over here, but you guys get a little bit more closer up look at my posters and stuff like that. But I did this review months ago. Now, this is a movie review on Van Helsing. Now, Van Helsing is a movie that I've had in my collection for a while now. Van Helsing. It's a movie that I feel is very underrated. It's a film that I think is well directed by Stephen Sommers, who, of course, had directed the Mummy movies. A little bit towards the early 2000s is when Stephen Sommers was really making a lot of movies. I mean, he made the Mummy, the Mummy Returns, which I haven't seen in a while. But the Mummy, I grew up with the Mummy, watching the Mummy a lot. I know he was involved in writing The Scorpion King. He was involved in writing a couple other stuff too. Um, he was involved in writing the Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. He wrote this movie. He wrote the Mummy and the Mummy Returns. He wrote uh, the Jungle Book from 1994 and Catch Me If You Can in 1989. He directed G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, which is a decent action film. His newest film is Odd Thomas. That's a film with Anton Yelchin from the Fright Night remake. It is 6.9 on IMDb. Came out in 2013, but he's working on a film right now. Getting back here on the list. He's working on a movie right now. It's going to be coming out. I don't know. It's announced, but it's called When Worlds Collide. He's working on that right now, Stephen Sommers. He also directed Van Helsing, The Mummy, The Mummy Returns, Deep Rising. He also directed The Jungle Book, which I think I used to have that movie when I was a kid, but I don't remember it that much. I honestly don't remember being too much of a fan of The Jungle Book from 1994, but I haven't seen that movie in a long time. The Mummy, Van Helsing, two movies I grew up with. I seen The Mummy Returns a long time ago. I haven't seen it in a long time. But I don't know. The Mummy Returns. I remember thinking that it was at least decent. That it was at least okay. I don't remember hating it. Although I do know that it gets negative reviews nowadays. I don't remember hating it, but I don't remember loving it either. G.I. Joe: Rise of Cobra. I seen it. Thought it was pretty decent. But Van Helsing is a movie I feel is underrated. Now, Stephen Sommers did a good job directing this movie. It has a great mood, a great feel. The way that it's shot is really well done. It has a very good energy to it, a very good look to it. The way that it's shot. It has really good action scenes. I thought that Hugh Jackman as Van Helsing was, perfect. I thought he was Van Helsing. I thought that Hugh Jackman played Van Helsing to the best he could. Hugh Jackman is Van Helsing in this movie. Did a great job as Van Helsing. Kate Beckinsale is also in this film. Does a great job. Um, of course, Kate Beckinsale would go on to be in the Underworld films, and those are movies I think are decent. The first one's okay. The second one, I haven't really seen the sequels. I seen the second one a long time ago, and I remember thinking that it was decent. I seen the third one, but I don't really remember it that good, and I haven't seen the fourth one yet. I actually own all of them on DVD. I just haven't, watched them all yet. But I grew up with the first Underworld as well. And that's what I mean. A lot of these movies I grew up with: Underworld, The Matrix, Blade, Van Helsing. I grew up with Freddy vs. Jason. I grew up with Jason X, but I don't really like it now. I grew up with Nightmare on Elm Street 1, Bride of Chucky. I remember watching that a lot as a kid. Well, not as a kid, but sort of a teenagers. I don't know. not really a young kid, but I do remember watching Bride of Chucky a lot growing up. But Van Helsing's a movie that I grew up with. It was a movie that I seen as a kid. That as a kid thought it was pretty entertaining, and honestly, even now I think it's pretty entertaining. It's a movie that's underrated. It gets said to be a crappy film. When it came out, it bombed. It did not do good. It was a box office flop, and the reviews on it were very negative. I don't really agree with that. I think it's a movie that you know it's not a masterpiece. This isn't a movie that's a masterpiece and a classic. But I do think that Van Helsing is one heck of a fun film. But I do think though the PG-13 rating kind of hurts a little bit because if this was rated R, can you imagine how fun this movie would be if it was rated R? Also, I do know there was a Van Helsing anime which came out very shortly after this film. I do know that there was a Van Helsing video game which I did play as a kid. Don't really remember too much of it, but I remember thinking it was okay. But also, I think that the movie it doesn't really have too many problems. Like I said, the PG-13 rating, I mean, it kind of hurt it because you have vampires and werewolves. You have Frankenstein in the movie. It could have been so much more fun if it was rated R. But I think it kind of hurts the film, but it's not really a huge problem. I also think that as far as the effects go, the CGI effects, practical effects, I did not mind. The practical effects were pretty decent. It's just the CGI, green screen effects, and the CGI effects in general. They really did not hold up over the years watching this nowadays. But I think if you look past those problems, if you look past, and they're not even big problems. I mean, the CGI is dated, but there's still a lot of good practical action scenes in there. There's still a lot of good practical makeup effects in there. The makeup effects on the Frankenstein monster, I actually don't mind the design. It's a different design. I did not mind. I mean, the cast was great. Kate Beckinsale and Hugh Jackman was great. The guy who played Dracula did a great job. Richard Roxburgh, great job as Dracula. The guy who played Igor, Kevin J. O'Connor, is actually the guy from The Mummy. He's actually the guy towards the beginning of the movie, I think. Yeah, he's actually Benny from The Mummy. He's actually the guy who sort of runs away from the army that's sort of coming towards them. And towards the end of the movie, all those like bugs eat him. He's also, as Igor in this film, did a good job. And as well as the guy who played Frankenstein, and it's a fun movie. I mean, it's a movie, like I said. I mean, majority of the acting's, I mean, pretty much the cast does a good job. Hugh Jackman, Kate Beckinsale, the guy who played Dracula, the guy who played the Frankenstein monster, the guy who played Igor, Kevin J. O'Connor, Richard Roxburgh, Kate Beckinsale, Hugh Jackman, they all did a good job. I did not mind also the guy who played, I believe, the Carl character, who was from 300. I remember he played Dilios from 300. I remember at the end of the movie, he pretty much leads the Spartans at the end of the movie. I thought he was an okay character. Some comic relief in there, but he was an okay sidekick to Van Helsing. And the thing about this movie is that it gets a 6.0 on IMDb. It came out in 2004, entered by Stephen Sommers. Now, this movie, when it came out, it got so many negative reviews. Even to this day, I've seen reviews where it's being said to be a crappy film, said to be a bad movie. I really don't agree with that. I think it's a fun film. I think it's one of those movies where, just pop some popcorn, kick back, relax, and watch Van Helsing. It's got a lot of action in the movie, practical action scenes, well done. I can name off a lot of action scenes from this movie, like the stagecoach scene where Van Helsing is being attacked by these flying bat vampire things, and he's fighting the vampires off, shooting these guns and stuff. He also uses really cool crossbow in the movie, shoots like stakes out of it and stuff. Also, this great scene right here where sort of these, spinning blades come out of his hands, and he does that, and they spin real fast. He's cutting towards the beginning of the movie, cuts this creature's arm off. But the stagecoach scene was well done. Van Helsing gets knocked into the horses, has to bounce off from the horses, jump back onto the stagecoach, fights the vampires. Towards the beginning of the movie, you sort of get Dracula. You sort of see Frankenstein. You sort of see the Frankenstein monster. And then Dracula kills the Dr. Frankenstein character, and then the monster gets loose, and pretty much like the Frankenstein movie, gets into the windmill, and then it gets burned to the ground. Dracula is, you find out, trying to use the Frankenstein monster in this film to make these weird mutated flying vampire creatures, pretty much Dracula's kids. And he needs the Frankenstein monster and the werewolf for this. So to the movie, Van Helsing gets reports about Dracula and stuff towards the beginning of the movie, and pretty much goes to Transylvania, investigates what's going on, and finds out that Dracula is trying to create his children. And Dracula is going to use the Frankenstein monster and the werewolf, which ends up being Kate Beckinsale's brother. I believe they're werewolf hunters. And, you also get a scene where the brother gets attacked by a werewolf and, gets scratched, and he becomes a werewolf. The plot is basic. I mean, Van Helsing goes there. You have that really great action scene in the village where, these flying creatures, these flying vampire bat creature things, right there. Pretty cool design, of course. Kind of have a little bit of boobs there. But they're flying around the village, picking up people, biting people. It's not really bloody, but you do get some blood in there. And then, Van Helsing gets this, stake shooting crossbow, and, shooting all these stakes through the air, and it was done very well. Kate Beckinsale gets the sword, gets a couple guns, shooting guns and stuff. Ends up fighting a little bit with these vampires. The vampires try to seduce her, but of course she snaps out of it. Just Kate Beckinsale and Hugh Jackman in the movie did a good job. Both of the characters were interesting. Both of the characters were likable. And very well done by Kate Beckinsale and Hugh Jackman in the movie. Of course, Kate Beckinsale, like I said, was in the Underworld movies, and Hugh Jackman was in the X-Men movies. He was also in a lot of movies. I believe he was also in Chappie. He's been in a lot of movies. Yeah, I mean, pretty much, Van Helsing fights off those creatures, those flying vampire bat things. Finds out about the werewolf. He ends up fighting the werewolf a little bit, gets bit by the werewolf, so I have an interesting idea of Van Helsing being a werewolf. And Van Helsing pretty much gears up, goes to, Dracula's castle, fights Dracula a little bit. You get, a pretty good fight where Frankenstein is being electrocuted, and the werewolf, of course, is being tortured. They're trying to get these basically Dracula's children made. And Van Helsing goes there, fights Dracula a little bit, turns to a werewolf. You have a werewolf versus a giant bat creature. The effects are not the greatest, I'll be honest. The end of the movie has some pretty bad special effects. The CGI is not good. But the idea, I mean, you have werewolves fighting Dracula, a giant bat who turns into a giant bat creature. And, of course, Hugh Jackman wins, defeats Dracula, kills Dracula, ends up trying to save Kate Beckinsale, but of course Kate Beckinsale dies, and they save the Frankenstein monster. At the end of the movie, Van Helsing is at this sort of funeral where Kate Beckinsale is being cremated. Van Helsing rides off and the movie ends. I mean, it's a very straightforward film. For me, the pace isn't a problem. It's 2 hours and 11 minutes, but it really does not feel like that. It goes by at a very fast pace. I really enjoy the music. I enjoyed the cast. Great acting by Kate Beckinsale, Hugh Jackman, the guy who played Dracula, Richard Roxburgh, Kevin J. O'Connor, David Wenham, Shuler Hensley as the Frankenstein monster. just really good acting in this movie. It's entertaining. It keeps the audience interested. At least it kept me interested. I mean, you got werewolves, Frankenstein, Dracula, Van Helsing comes in the mix. Couple of like a lot of really good action scenes and fight scenes. You know, Van Helsing fighting vampires, Van Helsing fighting werewolves, fighting Dracula at the end of the film. Just a very well done film. It's a film that's underrated. It's in my opinion, it's not that bad. It's one of those movies, like I said, you can just watch it for fun. It's not a masterpiece. It's not a classic. The CGI does not hold up at all. It looks really bad. Um, the PG-13 rating holds it back a lot. This movie could have easily been rated R. Just added in some gore. Can you imagine that? Just Van Helsing going through and chopping off heads and blood squirting and a bloody fight between the werewolves and the vampires and it just would have been awesome. The PG-13 rating does hold it back, but for me, it has great action. It has a great look to it, a great mood, a great feel. Stephen Sommers really knows how to handle atmosphere because The Mummy had a great atmosphere. This movie has a great atmosphere. For me, G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra had a decent atmosphere. Just really well handled atmosphere, really well done direction, just some interesting ideas. Like the scene towards the beginning of the movie where Dracula is sort of walking on walls, and it's done practically too, where he's like walking up a wall, walking upside down, talking to the Dr. Frankenstein character. And that's where the Dr. Frankenstein character gets like a sword out, and Dracula sort of goes, "Well, you can't kill me," pushes himself through the blade and goes, "I'm already dead," and then pretty much bites the Dr. Frankenstein character. Also interesting idea where like Dracula is trying, I guess, to go to rest because the vampires can't go out during the day or something. And he's pretty much, him and his brides, they go over to this mirror thing, and the mirror sort of stretches out, and he sort of fades back into this mirror. It looks very cool, and the effect wasn't that. I don't remember it being that bad, and it sort of goes back. Interesting idea. The fight scene at the end of the movie is well done, although the effects are not the greatest, but at least the idea and even the practical action scenes that are there at the end of the movie are well done. And you just got a lot of fun stuff going on in this movie. I don't really understand why it gets so much, like, why it's going to be such a horrible film. To me, it's not a horrible film. To me, it's an entertaining film. It's a decent film. It's not a classic. It's not a masterpiece. It's not flawless. It does have flaws. The PG-13 rating, the CGI effects are its biggest flaw in my opinion. But you have some really well done action scenes. You got Van Helsing, werewolves, vampires, Frankenstein's monster. You got interesting ideas. The movie's very entertaining in my opinion. The atmosphere, the direction, the acting, it all keeps you intrigued in the film. And it's a movie that I think is underrated. It's a shame that it bombed. It's a shame that it flopped. But unfortunately, it was not a box office success. It did bomb. Cost quite a bit of money to make. I believe over $100 million. Get on your IMDb. Yeah, it cost $150 million. Only made 120. So it was a pretty big budget film. And it's a movie that is underrated. Like I said, it's a fun movie. It's entertaining. And I actually really enjoy Van Helsing. It's a movie that I've been wanting to review for a while because, like I said, I've had it in my collection for a while. I did do a movie review for it, but it got deleted. I did a review for it way like months ago, but it unfortunately got deleted. Good thing that the DVD is really well done. I mean, you got an interactive menu, stuff like that, all kinds of stuff. You got the Explore Dracula's Castle. DVD menu, very well done. Bringing the monsters to life, you get commentaries, Legend of Van Helsing, and I believe it says if you play Van Helsing Xbox game, put this DVD in your Xbox console and play the first level. So you put this DVD in your Xbox and you can play the first level of the Van Helsing game. I actually might do that, but of course, it's an Xbox. It's an old Xbox system, but There's also a thing called You Are in the Movie. Experience movie making magic through miniature cameras in the set that gives you the actor's perspective of the filming of the scene. Interesting idea. Really well done features. The DVD is well done. It's just the reviews. There's a couple of reviews in here. Non-stop action or breathtaking thrill ride. One of the most visually thrilling movies ever made. But the majority of the reviews in this movie came out were negative. But it's unfortunate that it bombed. It's unfortunate that there was negative reviews when it came out. It's unfortunate it still gets negative reviews. It's a movie I enjoy. It's a movie that I grew up with, but I still love watching. I still love to see this movie. It's a fun time. It's not a classic. It's not a masterpiece, but it's one heck of a fun time to watch. So yeah, thanks for watching my review on Van Helsing. I know that I was actually gonna do a review on Rosemary's Baby 2, or Look What Happened, or whatever the freaking title is. Like, Look What Happened to Rosemary's Baby, or whatever it was. Pretty much Rosemary's Baby 2. But it's I don't know. I mean, I really wasn't looking forward to seeing Rosemary's Baby 2, but I do want to see it, to give it a chance, and hopefully it is good. But I don't know. I have to kind of prepare myself to watch Rosemary's Baby 2. But I'll watch it and review it, if not tonight, then tomorrow. But I did want to review Van Helsing. That was a movie I was really wanting to review. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my review on Van Helsing. It's a fun film, fun time, and it's a movie that I enjoy. But thanks for watching my review on Van Helsing, guys. I will be doing my review. I'll be doing a review on Rosemary's Baby 2 eventually. It's a movie that I gotta get ready to watch because it gets like a 3.0 on IMDb. So yeah, Look What's Happened to Rosemary Baby or something, whatever that title is. It's got a ridiculous title. Yeah, Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby. It's a freaking 3.3, ridiculous title, and the rating is 3.3. So I don't know. I'm gonna get ready to watch that movie. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my review on Van Helsing, and I will see you guys in the next review.